I've just recorded a video about somatic yoga, and it got me thinking about, I could just talk for weeks about this kind of thing, but it got me thinking about the nervous system and how when we go through somatic exercise, whether that somatic exercise is yoga or walking, dancing, swimming, somatic just means body, so anything really that gets the body moving. What we're really doing there is clearing kind of stuck emotions, stuck feelings, stuck traumas. And so I thought I'd talk a little bit about the nervous system and how it works. So I'm going to talk about it in very simple terms, okay? We have the sympathetic nervous system and we have the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, the way that I remember it is that if I was being chased by a tiger and I was running for my life, I would feel sympathy for me. I would be like, oh dear, that looks really hard, running away from that tiger. So that's how I remember that the sympathetic nervous system, when we're in that sympathetic nervous system mode, we are going to have things like a higher heart rate. Our pupils are going to be, dilated. Everything, all of the power, all of the energy is going to go to our extremities, our limbs, so that we can run, we can power away, we can climb, we can push, we can fight. We might get a dry mouth. All the digestive stuff stops. Like anything non-essential is just put on the back burner whilst we deal with the fact that we're being chased through the savannah by a tiger. And if we don't get away really, really quickly, we're going to die, okay? So yeah, even things like the reproductive system just temporarily stops working. So you can see how if you end up hanging out in that kind of fight or flight / freeze mode, that's not going to be good for you. Your body, you are not going to be in homeostasis, and homeostasis just means balance, equilibrium. So for those of us, and I say those of us because I myself have a lifelong battle with anxiety. For those of us that do battle with anxiety and anxieties, I'm sure you can really identify with what I'm saying. So the other thing that I always think about when I'm in the sympathetic mode, so a really, really extreme version of this would be having a panic attack, having an anxiety attack. And I thankfully very rarely have them now, but when I do have them and when I speak to clients who suffer with them, I try, and it's very difficult in the moment, but I try and get them to explore and be curious about what their body is saying to them in that moment. Because sometimes when we're having a panic attack, we feel like we need to get away. We are in full flight mode, just get me away, get me away. Now, in that case, if you're having a panic attack and your body, everything is like, let me go, then get moving, okay? Don't think I'm going to sit down and put my head between my legs. Think I'm going to dance. I know it sounds crazy. I'm going to dance. I'm going to swing my hands around. I'm going to run. Like, just do anything to get your body moving and give it what it wants, okay? Because you are in flight mode or fight mode, basically. If your body is saying to you, I need to feel grounded, I feel really insecure. You know, I've done this at vet offices, at the dentist, when I've had to receive some difficult news. I've done it in the hospitals. Sit down, bring yourself down onto the earth. Bring yourself down, sit down. You can also, you can't really see me from there, but you can bring your feet towards the body and maybe just curl up in a tight ball. Another thing that can be really good for anxiety is to hold your feet. It's just very grounding, it's very comforting, a little bit of self-soothing. Okay, so yeah, just two different types of ways of dealing with panic attacks, just to listen to your body. Do you feel like running, or do you feel like sitting down, laying down? You know, sometimes we just need to lay down. Okay, so I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there. If we are in the parasympathetic mode, that's where we want to be. Like, we need some of that sympathetic energy sometimes, because sometimes we do need to suddenly, run away from something. Sometimes we do need that sudden burst of energy. But the problem is it gets activated with things like getting a bit of a shirty text from your other half, or your boss texting you and saying you've been late twice now this month and I'm going to dock your pay, and you're like, oh, it's not a tiger that's going to eat you for his breakfast, but your body treats it like that. So the parasympathetic nervous system, let's move away from all of that now. Parasympathetic nervous system is the place we want to be. It's rest and digest mode. So we could describe it as balanced, centered, grounded, and hopefully it's your default mode. So it's the complete opposite to the sympathetic. So our pupils will be constricted to limit light and improve our close-up vision. Heart rate is lowered. Bile will be produced and released, and digestion activated. Our bladder and intestinal muscles are relaxed. We start producing saliva to aid the digestion and help with our breath. Airway muscles are tightened to reduce the workload of the lungs, because we're not having to run, we're not having to fight. Eyes are lubricated with just the perfect amount of tears. Reproductive system is in balance, and breathing is free and smooth and easy. So the parasympathetic nervous system uses 4 out of our 12 cranial nerves, and these nerves, they connect directly to the brain. So 3 of those 4 only involve your senses and glands connected to the eyes, nose and mouth. But the 4th, which is the vagus nerve, which you may have heard of, connects to part of the mouth and extends down through the neck to the chest and the abdomen. And the vagus nerve makes up about 70% of the parasympathetic nervous system overall, connecting to the heart, the lungs, and all the internal organs that are in the belly. So further down, 31 spinal nerves connect directly to the spinal cord, but the parasympathetic nervous system only uses some of them in the lower region of the spine. And these send signals to the bladder and the bowels to relax so that you can use the bathroom comfortably. So, having said all of this, this is where we want to be, right? So how do we prevent conditions and problems that can affect the parasympathetic nervous system? So here's some ideas for you. Eating a balanced diet. So vitamin deficiencies, especially vitamin B12, they can literally attack the nervous system. But also bearing in mind you need to avoid overusing vitamins, especially B6, which actually has toxic effects on the nervous system at high levels. We want to be avoiding drugs and alcohol, because prescription and recreational drug abuse and frequent heavy drinking can and do have toxic effects and damage the sympathetic nervous system, along with lots of other systems in the body. So staying physically active and maintaining a healthy weight. Type 2 diabetes damages the autonomic nerves over time, so preventing it, or at least delaying it when it starts, can make a huge difference to overall well-being. And I think part of keeping yourself active is finding a movement-based activity that you genuinely enjoy, whether it be, something really fast-paced, like a HIIT workout or going to the gym, all the way down to a gentle walk every day. And everything in between. A bit of a random one, but if you're doing something like some kind of extreme sport, if you're snowboarding or fencing or anything that's kind of, a little bit dangerous, wearing safety equipment as needed. Because if we get any kind of nerve damage from injuries, that's going to have a real trauma on the body and the autonomic nervous system. Also, if you have a chronic illness that can damage your nervous system, then speaking to your healthcare provider about ways that you can support that, because this guidance can make a huge difference in helping you limit the condition's progress or how it actually affects your life. Supporting your parasympathetic nervous system is key to not just your health span, the amount of years that you're going to live in well-being, but your lifespan as a whole. So this system is constantly working without you having to think about it. That's why it's called the autonomic system. It goes on whether you're asleep or awake. It helps relax you when you're calm, and it balances your body's short-term survival response. So while conditions that affect it are rare, conditions that specifically attack the parasympathetic nervous system, you can protect it with all of these tips and lots more. So I'm going to continue talking now about how we can actually activate the parasympathetic nervous system when we are stressed. So here are a few really easy tips, a whole variety of different things that we can do in no particular order to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, aka calm hell down. Okay, so number one, we can all do this. As soon as I say it, we're all going to do it. Yawning. Okay, yawning activates the parasympathetic nervous system and signals the rest and digest processes for the body. So I don't know if you've ever seen dogs. My dog is just out of camera shot here. They yawn when they're nervous or anxious, and they yawn to try and show other dogs, you know, I'm not a threat. I'm relaxed. It's okay. You're making me a bit nervous, therefore, you know, I'm not trying to dominate you. So intentionally yawning as a human can still exercise and strengthen the connection, even if you're not naturally yawning. So yeah, really good self-regulatory tool there. Breath work is one of my go-to tools for supporting this system. Our breath, when we're stressed or anxious, becomes shallow and fast. So we can tell the body that everything is okay by intentionally slowing down the breath and specifically extending the exhale so that it is longer than the inhale is really, really helpful. So you can do that either just by instinctively feeling the lengths, or you can count. So let's have a little go at it now. So we could close down the eyes and inhale 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, inhale 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. And just continue now with your own pace of breath. Breath just like this. Lovely. Now, if you were in my last video, you will remember that Willow brought me a squeaky toy. Now brought me Mr. Banana, who's very, very, he's very crinkly. So apologies. My next offering for ways that we can come into that parasympathetic nervous system is meditation and visualization. So our mind actually can't differentiate between what we are thinking about and what's actually going on. So if I was to close my eyes now and really take myself into a visualization of being on a beach, say, and really create that world around me exactly as I want it to be, my mind will react as if I'm actually there, and that in turn is going to relax my body, bring down my heart rate, all the rest of it. This is very noticeable if you allow yourself to go back into traumatic thoughts. I do a lot of work with a family member who has OCD, and we have to do some exposure therapy on the intrusive thoughts that they are struggling with. So we're spending a lot of time thinking about these traumatic, dark thoughts, and it's really distressing, but it's part of a positive therapy. And it's become more and more clear to me that how the body and the mind really does believe that you are in that situation. So use that in a positive way. Now, massage and healing touch, which is what I'm doing if I look a bit strange in your shot, is because I am massaging my dog. So massaging can release anti-inflammatory and restorative signals in the body returning us to a calm state. And I can actually testify to the fact that giving a massage does the same thing. Stroking a pet, just that act of touch, that act of connection with another being is really healing. Time in nature, so scientifically proven to alleviate stress. So ideally we're going to find somewhere peaceful. We could perhaps take off our shoes and socks and walk on the grass or the pebbles, dip our toes in the water if it's warm enough, touch the trees, just being nature. Humming. Okay, so humming does lots of things. It creates vibrations to massage the part of the vagus nerve that sits near your vocal cords. This activates the relaxation response and tells your parasympathetic nervous system you're okay. So singing and chanting is going to achieve a similar result and has the added benefit of some additional breath work with it. So yeah, we can do humming, we can do some humming breath. You could just simply hum. You know, if you're feeling a bit stressed and you feel able to do so, you can just have a little hum. It doesn't need to be tuneful. You can just keep it at one level and just hum it out. So of course, yoga can cause a reduction in heart rate and blood pressure. And this is because your brain takes cues from your body and vice versa, of course. So when your body is calming down, when your body is distracted, your brain will benefit and get the message that all is well, and it will be focusing on what's going on inside your body. Real big part of what we were talking about with somatic practice and somatic exercises. It doesn't necessarily have to be yoga. It can be gentle movements, it can be mindful walking, it could be qigong, which is something I'm training in. There's mindful, gentle movement is only ever going to be healing. So restorative hobbies, so things that bring you joy or peace, anything that you can focus on that feels refreshing and fulfilling and gets you into that flow state where, you open your book and you sit and you read, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, a whole hour's passed. So something like that really takes you away from everyday life and really absorbs you into the present moment. Gratitude. Now, really, this could have been top of the list. Gratitude. For me, gratitude is the core of everything. Gratitude supports dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, which offset stress and create resilience. So there is a book coming out in April that I'm desperate. I'm on the pre-order list for. It's called The Dose Effect. Dose just stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And they are, if you like, our happy hormones. They all keep us regulated and in balance. And there's lots of different ways that we can activate these. Something that I covered about a year ago in my first ever women's circle, I think. And I think time's come to sort of look at that again and just have a little reminder about what each one does and how we can connect with them. But yeah, gratitude is one way of hitting all four of those happy hormones. Just finding reasons to be grateful about anything and everything. And then finally, my last tip, although there are many more, is connection with loved ones. So I've already touched upon literally stroking your pet or any kind of being that is happy to be stroked. Any kind of connection with loved ones or lovely ones that are happy to be connected with releases oxytocin for both of us. And if you feel like a hug, the pressure of that hug is going to send safety signals to the autonomic nervous system, and that's just going to be a great thing. So, sympathetic nervous system on the one hand, scary tiger, scary feelings inside. We don't want to be there unless we need to be. We need that quick, short burst of energy, get me away from the situation, and then recover. We do not want to be hanging out there for any length of time whatsoever. Parasympathetic nervous system should be our default. I don't like using the word should, but in this case, it's relevant. We should be striving to be hanging out in that parasympathetic nervous kind of condition where we're not in fight mode, we're not in flight mode, and we're not stuck, we're not frozen in a kind of traumatic rabbit in the headlights kind of situation. If you feel like you are out of kilter with any of this, take a look at my blog, take a look at some of my other videos. You can connect with me on social media, you can email me. I work one-to-one. I have lovely nurturing classes around Northamptonshire. But aside from all of that, I'm always happy to chat. I'm happy to coach and support and just be a listening ear. So yeah, if you have any questions about anything that I've covered, I know I've kind of covered a lot. There's more on my blog at sjholisticyoga.co.uk/blog. Lots of more ideas and things around activating that parasympathetic nervous system. But thank you for joining me, and yeah, just I think sometimes being aware of these states of condition can help us to realise, oh, I'm doing okay, or there's room for some change. So thank you.